I'm Ling, and in today's video, I wanted to share with you my process of apartment hunting in San Francisco during the pandemic. I'm going to start by sharing my wish list with you so you can get a feel for what I was looking for in an apartment, and then I'll show you a few of the places that I actually saw. But first, I just want to give you a background on the rental situation in San Francisco. According to this market analysis report, in 2019, the average price for a one-bedroom apartment was $3,100, but because of the pandemic, a lot of people have actually left the city, which has caused the prices to fall quite a bit. They've fallen more than 25%, so now the average for a one-bedroom apartment is $2,650. I really wanted to take advantage of this situation because I was previously living in a two-bedroom apartment with two other roommates, and that lease was coming to an end. I was definitely looking to get a place for myself, hopefully in a rent-controlled unit, so that even after the pandemic ends and the rental prices recover, I'll still be locked in at a low rent. Okay, here is my wish list in order of importance to me. So the very first thing I was looking for was a place with a lot of natural light. If you see my old apartment tour video, you'll see that I have a ton of plants, and I was somehow able to use one bedroom and my window to keep all of them alive, but it was pretty stressful. I had to rotate them to make sure that they all got enough exposure, and I didn't want to deal with that in my new place. So I was looking for somewhere with lots of windows, specifically south-facing, to maximize the direct light. Next, I really wanted to find a place that was spacious, that had either an office nook or enough space that I could carve out for leatherworking. The third thing on my list was price. I definitely wanted to get the best deal possible. Even though the average has fallen to $2,650, I was really looking for something more around $2,000. I think this is just the way that I was raised. My parents are super frugal as well, so now I'm just always looking to get the best deal. I remember when I was about 12 years old, I found this really cute cow stuffed animal that I wanted to buy with my money that I was making from delivering newspapers. So I brought it up to my mom and I showed it to her, and she goes, "Ling, you don't need more stuffed animals. Why don't you save that money for when you have your own apartment, and you can use that money to furnish your place?" I was 12 years old, but I think that was a pretty pivotal moment where I just always had to save my money and find the best deal possible, so I'm still like that now. Next on my list is finding a place with a washer and dryer in unit. The two places that I've lived in before this both had it, so I'm kind of spoiled from that, but I also just don't really want to lug my stuff to a laundromat, especially in the middle of this pandemic. The fifth thing on my list is hardwood floors. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. I just think hardwood floors look a lot better than carpet. And then last, but definitely not least, is finding a safe neighborhood to live in, somewhere where I can walk around and not feel like I'm in any danger. So with my wish list in order, I set out to start my hunt, and actually the first place I saw, I fell in love with right away. It was perfect. For the sake of this video, let's call it the Unsafe Oasis. So the Unsafe Oasis was $2,060 in rent, it was 750 square feet, and it was rent controlled. And here's how it stacks up on my wish list. It was bright, it was super roomy, I had already pictured where I was going to put my leather crafting station. It had washer and dryer in unit, beautiful hardwood floors, and it was by far the cheapest option that I had seen. I was so ready to just sign on the spot, but I sent the post to my family and my friends, and everyone was super hesitant. They all said that Soma isn't the safest neighborhood and that I should really look around for other options. But to prove everyone wrong, I went back to that neighborhood separate times of the day. So I went in the morning, the afternoon, and very late at night just to see if it really was unsafe. And I actually bumped into two ladies who lived next door, and I asked them how long they had been living there, whether or not they felt safe, and one of them actually said that she works nearby and she walks home pretty late at night, and she's never felt unsafe. So even with this evidence and homework, I told my parents, but they were very adamant that I try to find a better option. So I begrudgingly revised my wish list. I moved the safe neighborhood requirement up to the top, and then I looked at maybe 30 more apartments. So now let's jump in and I'll show you 3 of the 30 that I saw. This first apartment is the Quant Victorian, which was listed at $2,700, 700 square feet, and it was rent controlled. As soon as I walked into the living room, I was greeted by these really large bay windows that channeled in a lot of light, but I felt like the layout of the living room was kind of weird. It had a fireplace and a lot of nooks. It also had a closet right off the door that just made designing for this space seem kind of weird and challenging. The kitchen was located right off of the living room, and it was very large, very bright, which I liked, but at the same time it was quite sparse and the layout was a little bit weird. It also seemed like the landlord didn't put a lot of effort into the maintenance. The appliances were very old and the stove was tiny. You can see there's not a ton of counter space, so I definitely would have needed to get an island or some other table to make the kitchen more functional. The bathroom was located off of the kitchen, and very much like the rest of the place, it was large and bright, but not well maintained at all. It didn't seem like anything had been updated. The sink was just a sink, and the bathtub looked super old. One kind of cool thing about this apartment was that it had two entrances, so this is the entrance that bypasses the living room and takes you directly to the bathroom. The bedroom was tucked into the back of the unit, and it was kind of weird. It felt like an afterthought or a last-minute addition because it didn't have the same high ceilings and it actually stepped down a little bit. I tried to open the curtain and it totally broke on me, which at this point I could definitely tell that the landlord did not care about the maintenance of this unit whatsoever. So that was a big red flag. There's this tiny closet that really wasn't going to fit anything, and then a door that led to the porch. Overall, it ticked off some of my criteria, but it was just way too overpriced. Grand Views is the second apartment, and it was listed at $2,200, 600 square feet, and it was also rent controlled. It's located in Noe Valley, which is a very safe and popular neighborhood, especially for young families. I liked this apartment as soon as I walked in. It had an open concept floor plan, and the windows were absolutely amazing. There was an entire wall of windows that let in a lot of light, and the best part was the awesome view of the city. Having a nice view wasn't really a requirement of mine in an apartment, but I definitely could see myself enjoying this panoramic view. This building also had access to a rooftop that offered an even better view. I wasn't a big fan of the flooring, but at least the carpet was bright and clean. In terms of the kitchen, it was a very functional kitchen that had been updated with a dishwasher, a nice stove, and a nice fridge as well. It was also really bright and it had a lot of counter space. I definitely could picture myself doing a lot of baking in this kitchen. I wasn't a big fan of this lighting fixture that greeted you as soon as you walked in because I felt like it was dictating where you needed to put your dining set. There was a fireplace in the corner that I think I felt neutral about, but I didn't like that it took up a little bit more space. I liked the bedroom a lot. It was a very good size and it had a huge closet that would probably fit all of my clothes. I also really liked that the closet had a large mirror door. The bathroom was okay. I didn't really like it that much. I wasn't a fan of the finishing, but at least it was clean and relatively updated. This is how the Grand Views apartment stacks up against my wish list. It did have tons of bright light and it was in a great neighborhood, but it didn't have enough space for leather crafting, and I also felt like I could find something cheaper, especially for a unit that didn't have hardwood floors or in-unit laundry. Last but definitely not least is Parkside Place. It was listed at $2,100. It's 830 square feet, rent controlled, and it is very centrally located and also right by a very nice park. I really loved this two-way closet that took you from the hallway and shortcutted you to the bedroom. The bedroom itself was absolutely enormous. I really loved the two big windows that channeled in all of the light, and I knew my plants would too. As you can see, I was pretty much already sold on this place and I hadn't even seen the rest of the place yet. Here's the bathroom, which is pretty average and a little bit on the small side, but it was just updated and I really like that there is a window. The kitchen is located at the end of the long hallway. As you can see, it's very bright and very big. It has enough room for a dining table. It also has two windows and a gas stove, which I was very excited about. My favorite part about this whole apartment is the living room, which is even bigger than the bedroom and has a set of south-facing bay windows. Here my mind is already racing, trying to figure out how I would section off this massive room. I was thinking about putting a plant wall or some kind of room divider to separate an office space from the living space. This is how Parkside Place stacks up against my wish list. You can see it has absolutely everything except for hardwood floors, which I really didn't mind. I was actually able to get this for $19.50 after some negotiation with the landlord, so it ended up being even cheaper. It was by far the best deal and the place that I loved the most. I'm actually so glad that my parents didn't let me settle for the Unsafe Oasis because this place has everything that I want. It has a ton of storage space, a lot of light. I know I'm going to be very happy here. Alright, that's it for this video. I eventually do want to share an apartment tour of this place with you because I'm super excited. I've picked up a few more free items that I really want to share, but my space is very much in flux right now. I have some boxes that I still need to unpack and I'm still trying to figure out the layout. So once I do, I'll be sure to share it with you. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.